Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuru Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Pam Shakarjatam Shajna Raghunatha Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjanam Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sajna Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitansha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanto Radha Kanta Namastute Tapt Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Vishwahanu Sute Devi Varnamami Hari Priye Vanchkalpataru Vesha Kripa Sindhu Vyayavasha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaisnavevyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanto Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine हे विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदो श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So we are going to start a new chapter, and maybe if I get time today, at the end of the class, I would like to see who else are on the call, because there are some percentage of marks that's going to come from attendance. So I need to keep track of the attendance of the devotees. Most of you have been very regular, so thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So we'll start, and today we are going to have chapter number 11, and then we'll have 12 chapter, and then we'll have the exam for, yes.
Can we have the final score of module 1, because the assignments and all those things are covered now in that? So can we have that? Or?
Sure, yes. So we can talk some of the stuff later once I'm done with this one. But yes, why not? We can have that too. So we are going to go through chapter 11, the universal form. And you can see here on the screen, there is a picture of Lord showing his universal form. So going to next slide. So this chapter has total 55 verses. And we can basically have 7 segments to keep a flow of the verses as we are going through the verses. So first 4 verses, Arjuna requests Krishna to show his universal form. And then later 4 verses, 5 to 8, Krishna describing his universal form. And then verse number 9 to 14, since Sanjay is watching the whole discussion that's going on in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he is going to describe Dhritarashtra, that what Arjuna is seeing in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And then as Arjuna is looking at the universal form, what experiences he is going through. So almost 16 verses from 15 to 31 are dedicated to describe how Arjuna's experience is coming across when he's looking at the universal form. And then next segment of the verse from 32 to 34, Krishna replying. So at the end of 31 verse, Arjuna is asking questions that, my dear Lord, who are you? And what's your mission? Then Krishna says that time I am and become my instrument. And after that, Arjuna is very deep in his prayers, and he is paying his obeisances and making requests to the Lord, doing his glorifications. So few verses talks about Arjuna's prayer to Krishna, to his form, and then after that Krishna comes into his two-armed form, and then next segment of the verses talks that only a person who is in pure devotion can see form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So prerequisite to see transcendental form of the Supreme Lord is that one should be in a stage of pure devotion. So that's how this chapter ends. If you are trying to connect the dot, you would notice that each chapter ends up giving us some instructions about, of course, staying in the context of that specific chapter, but it teaches us how one can come to the stage of pure bhakti. So, flow goes like this. In the previous chapter, which was basically chapter of Krishna's vibhutis, so Krishna is describing his opulences, and then in this chapter, after hearing the descriptions of Krishna's vibhutis, opulences, Arjuna Arjuna is requesting that, my dear Lord, I would like to see that. So this is a chapter of basically display of those opulences that Krishna has described in chapter 10. So after hearing all the descriptions of Krishna's, Arjuna's illusion has been completely dispelled. So the first verse start where Arjuna says that my illusion has been dispelled by your great mercy in explaining to me these most confidential spiritual subjects. So these spiritual confidential, most confidential spiritual subjects, referring to what Krishna has heard so far, and especially about his vibhutis. So that's how Arjuna starts this chapter. And he further continues saying that I have heard from you, O lotus-eyed Lord. Kamal patraksha. Patraksha, aksha means eyes. Kamal means lotus. I have heard from you, O lotus-eyed Lord, about the creation and dissolution of all beings arising from you. I have also realized your inexhaustible glories in being affected by this. So I've heard from you about your glories and your inexhaustible pastimes and your activities. But now I desire to see your universal form. So in verse number 3, Arjuna is requesting Lord to see his universal form. O Supreme Lord, greatest of all, you are present before me as you have described yourself. Yet I wish to see your powerful form, Rupam Aswaram, by which you enter and support this universe. So here Arjuna is making request to seize the Rupam Aswaram. How Aswara means opulences, how in his opulent form, Rupam Aswaram, how in his opulent form he sustains and support this entire universe. O Master of all mystic power, Yogeshwara, kindly show me that unlimited universal form if you think that I can behold. so very submissively. If you think that I can behold, if I can see, if I can understand your Yogeshwara form, then kindly behold that form to me. So that's the basically uh, 4 verses here, where Arjuna is requesting Krishna to show his universal form. Before we get into the discussion of universal form, there are mention about this Virat Rupa in Bhagavatam also, Canto 1, Canto 2, and some also in Canto 3rd. So Sarga and Visarga, primary creator and secondary creator. So when we discuss about Sarga and Visarga element of Bhagavatam, this topic of Virat Rupa comes. So one thing that we have to very clearly understand, that the universal form Virat Rupa that Krishna is showing to Arjuna is not a permanent form. It's a temporary form. It's an imaginary form that Krishna is showing to Arjuna. And why we call this form as an imaginary form? Because the other forms, such as Lord Ram, Vamandev, Matsya, or other incarnations, Lord Narasimhadev, those personalities eternally exist in a spiritual abode. But Krishna does not exist, does not stay as eternal personality, as eternity in Virat Rupa form. But since Arjuna is requesting to show Krishna his eternal form, this form is being depicted, this form is being exhibited in front of Arjuna. But Lord as such, he can show this form, but this form is not a eternal form. And there are some other points also about Virat Rup, and I think I'll end the class with a few other points around Virat Rup. But those points will make more sense once we go through few verses. Second point, or second element of information that we have to understand, is that by this time, by now, Arjun is fully convinced from Chaturshloki verse, after hearing all the explanations about Krishna, he is now fully convinced. But still, he is asking, he is requesting Krishna to show his universal form. So, in the purport of verse number 3, Prabhupada is writing, he is requesting because he wants to substantiate Krishna's statement and convince people about his divinity. So devotee like Arjun, when he will hear all of the instructions that has been given to him, he will easily be convinced. Devotees, for devotees not difficult to convince. But for generations to come, how the people who are coming in the future, they are going to be convinced that this person is the absolute truth. So to substantiate that, to support that statement that Krishna has told so far, Arjuna is requesting that, my dear Lord, please show your Vishwarupa form, please show your Yoga Aishwaryam form, in the form where all of that you have shared exists simultaneously. And then also in future, and we see that especially in Indian context, that there are so many personalities who do not hesitate calling themselves incarnations. Somebody says that I'm incarnation of Shiva, somebody will say that I'm Swam Bhagwan. We had so many Bhagwans, Bhagwan this, Bhagwan that, are coming. And then not only that, they basically give the wrong interpretation of the technical definitions of such some terms like Bhagwan or Satyavases avatar or Vibhutis or Bhagavat Vibhutis. Some of these terms, they basically twist it and give the wrong definition to convince the people who are not spiritually intelligent. So, to basically reject that type of personality who will come in future and will say, Prabhupada uses the word imposter. The people will come and they will propose that I am the Supreme Lord by asking, by requesting Krishna. Arjuna is setting up example that a person with absolute truth should be able to show uh, their Virat Rupa. And many times, Prabhupada has written that if one is trying to imitate Krishna, then one should try to lift Govardhan Hill on their pinky for 7 days, 7 nights without any deviation. So, so that is why Arjuna is requesting Krishna to show the Virat Roop. So two important points here that we made. First point is that Virat Roop is a imaginary concept of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is showing that form to Arjuna to relay the message that he is all-pervading Supreme Father, sustaining and supporting the entire manifestation, and also to convince and to not leave the room for any doubt for the people who are going to come in future and who are going to imitate the the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the third point that is being made here is that Arjuna is also not demanding that, okay, so you said all of these things, show me your form, how to ask question, how to, many times it happens that we also in our discussions, when we are discussing, associating with devotee, we ask some good questions, but we ask in a way that seems like we are demanding, or we have some sort of, something associated with that that doesn't really come across like we are really submissively seeking the guidance of a person. And in discussion of Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj in Bhagavatam, there is a section where we basically talk that who is a perfect hearer and who is a perfect speaker. And in that segment, it comes that whenever we inquire any spiritual subject, when we have desire to know anything spiritual, we beg, we request very humbly, not for sake of challenging, not for sake of testing somebody's knowledge, not for sake of showing that I am better than you. All of these are not the element of a bhakti. These are all something on the very mental platform. When we ask something, when we are asking especially the spiritual queries to uh, our predecessor, we are asking to our guide mentor, we ask in a very submissive way. So these are some of the points I wanted to mention before I get into discussion of Virat group. So now here, Krishna, so next 4 verses, Krishna is talking. So all these 5, 6, 7, 8, it starts Krishna Uvacha, Krishna, so Lord Krishna is telling. Verse number 5, now see my opulences, O Arjun, my hundreds of thousands of wonderful divine forms of varied types, colors, and shapes. So, O Arjun, now see my opulences, which are very wonderful and very divine, and it has various, colors and shapes. So from there, Arjuna, Krishna starts describing his universal form. Behold the many wonderful things. Behold many wonderful things which no one ever seen or heard of before. No one ever seen or heard of before. See the Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Aswini, Kumaras, and all the other demigods. See within my body whatever you wish to see. This whole universe with its moving and non-moving entity is here completely in one place at one time. So, very powerful statement. I don't know how does it feel like to have this darshan. Of course, we cannot have this darshan with our material eyes. So Krishna is saying that see within my body whatever you wish to see, whatever you wish to see. This whole universe with its moving and non-moving entity is here completely. Everything is in completeness in one place at one time. Only Krishna can say that. And then this statement comes through verse number 8, that we cannot seize Krishna's form with our ordinary eyes. We cannot see Krishna with gross material senses. So Krishna is saying that I'll give you the divine chakshu because you cannot see with your present eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Pashyame yogam ashwaram. Pashyame yoga ashwaram. So behold my mystic opulence. I'll grant you divine eyes, divyam chakshu. So after this, Krishna awards Arjun divine chakshu. And then there, after we see a few verses, now Sanjay, who is watching, he is describing what he is seeing to Dhritarashtra. So verse number 9, Krishna displays the universal form. Having spoken thus, Krishna, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, Maha Yogeshwara Hari, displayed his supremely powerful, majestic universal form to Arjuna. Again, the word Rupam Eswaram is being used here. So now Krishna is showing his universal form to Arjuna. Arjuna saw in that form unlimited faces, eyes, wonderful visions, holding many weapons, wearing celestial garments, ornaments, and divine scenes. The form was wondrous, brilliant, infinite, all expanding with faces in all directions. So, Sanjay is describing what Arjuna is seeing. The effulgence of the universal form is greater than the effulgence of thousands of sun rising at once in the sky. Thousands of sun, the effulgence. So when Krishna is showing his universal form, the effulgence, Brahmamiti, Paramamiti, Bhagwanati, Sabdate. So Brahman is basically effulgence. So when Krishna is showing his effulgence, it's so bright, it's so effulgent that it appears that thousands of the sun. Can you just pause and think? One sun on this material, earthly planet during summertime almost kills us. Somewhere it gets like 120 Fahrenheit, 130 Fahrenheit. And here it says that thousands of the sun rising at once in the sky. So how bright that light could be, I don't know. This material eyes cannot capture. But that was how Krishna was effulging when he was showing his Virat Roop. Everything in the universe is seen at that one place in various ways, divided into many details. Everything is seen there when Krishna is showing his universal form. Arjuna bowed down, bewildered and astonished. His hair is standing on end. With folded hands, he began to pray to the Supreme Lord. So Sanjay is describing that by seeing this form, this effulgence, many hands, many, weapons, and garlands and garments and all the personality within him. Seeing that, Arjuna completely got bewildered, astonished. His hair is standing to end, and with folded hands, he is praying to the Supreme Lord. He started praying to the Supreme Lord. So next segment of verse from 15 to 31, now we are going to see how Arjuna feels after looking at the universal form. So from 15 to 18, Arjuna's realization upon seeing the Vishwarupa, universal form, Virat Rupa. Verse number 15. Dear Lord, I see in your body. What he is seeing? Arjuna said, I see all the demigods, all living entity. Brahma sitting on the lotus, Shiva, all the sages, and divine serpent. O Lord of the universe and the origin of the universal form, Vishweswara, Sarve Sarva, Vishweswara. I see in your unlimited form many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes expanded everywhere without limit. I see no end, no middle, and no beginning of this form. Aneka Bahu Vaktara Netram. Udra is basically belly. So Aneka Bahu means arms. Aneka Bahu Udra Vaktara Netram. Pashyami Tvam Sarvato Anant Rupam. Na Antam, Na Madhyam, Na Punas Tva Adim means there is no Ant, Na Madhyam, there is no middle, and Na Tva Adim, and there is no beginning also. Pashyami Viseswara Vishwarupa. When he here indicates, represents Arjun. When Arjun is seeing this form of the Supreme Lord, there is no beginning, there is no middle. Of course, if you can't see the beginning, how you can see the middle? And there is no end. And all of these unlimited forms are being exhibited to Arjun at once. It is difficult to see this glowing form adorned with crowns, clubs, and discs because of its glaring effulgence spreading on all sides with immeasurable radiance like blazing fire or the sun. So it's very difficult to see. Wow, Arjuna has got divine Chakchu, Divya Chakchu. But even uh, with Divya Chakchu, he's saying it is difficult to see this glowing form. Tejo Rasim, this divine form. It's very, very difficult to see. Which has crowns, clubs, disc, because of its glaring effulgence spreading on all sides with immeasurable radiance, like blazing fire or the sun. I don't know how exactly that could be again, but Arjuna is saying it, Krishna is showing it, and we are hearing it. Fortunate soul. I am convinced of your supremacy. So, verse number 18, after seeing all of that, of course, Arjuna was already very much convinced. But here again, he's reconfirming that I am convinced of your supremacy. Tam aksharam paramam veditavayam. You are so who vedita avayam. Vedit avayam. Vedit means to know. Vedit avayam. So whatever element, avayam element, whatever element one has to know, you are the param element. So out of all the element, then one has to know, you are the topmost element to be known. Tamasya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam. Nidhanam means to support, to sustain. So of all the support and sustains that we see, you are the Param Nidhanam. Vishwasya Param Nidhanam. You are the supreme most support to this universe. Tam avyakaha saswata dharma gupta, and you are inexhaustible, you are the maintainer of the eternal religion. So here, Prabhupada, the translation goes, you are inexhaustible, you are the maintainer of the eternal religion. But also, Dharma Gupta means secret. So Dharma Gupta, it also means here, that you are the secret of all the dharma. So of all the religious practices that one is performing, Dharma Gupta, you are the secret, you are the essence of all the dharma that is being performed. Sanatanam Tvam Purso Matome, you are eternal, ancient personality of Godhead. This is my opinion. So right here, after seeing the universal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna is declaring that it is my opinion that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the topmost object of everything that has to be known. You are topmost supporter and sustainer of everything that support and sustains. And you are the essence of all the religious practices that one perform. Dharma guptaha, you are by all the dharma, you are the person who has to be known. You are the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead. Words are very simple, right? I'm sure that if one will read these things, I mean, there is no room here to twist and say that there is somebody else, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very clearly, through Arjuna, Krishna is giving us this message here that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll continue reading from verse number 19 to 25. Now, Arjuna is going to describe this kala rupa, this form, this all devastating form of form as a time also. So see what Arjuna says in verse number 19, you have no origin, middle, or end. Your strength is unlimited. You have numberless arms. The sun and moon are your eyes. Sasi Surya Netram. This is many times we refer say that the sun and moons are eyes of Krishna. From here, from this verse, this comes that Sasi Sunya Netram. Sasi Surya Netram. Sasi means moon and Surya is sun. So the sun and moon are your eyes. I see blazing fire emanating. I see blazing fire emanating from your mouth, burning this universe. The fire that's coming out of your mouth is blazing fire, and it's burning this universe. You are spread throughout. You are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. Seeing this astonishing and ferocious form, all the three worlds are perturbed. I mean, everybody who are watching, of course, there are some demigods who can see this form. There are some divine personality who can see while uh, Krishna was exhibiting. So this is I don't know how it's possible that it's basically see the word here. You are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all the space between. So between the planets and between the sky, whatever there is some space, all of that space is occupied when Krishna is showing this Virat Roop. Seeing that astonishing and ferocious form, everybody else, whoever are seeing in the three worlds, they are confused and they are disturbed. Hosts of the demigods are surrendering before you, entering into you. Some are praising you out of fear. Hosts of sages and perfected beings crying all peace are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns. You are looking, all are looking at you in astonishment. Rudras, Adityas, Vashuj, Sadhyas, Vishwas Aswins, Marutas, Pitris, Gandharvas, Yaksha, Asuras, and Siddhas. All of them are looking at you with full surprise. Who is this person? And from where this personality is coming? All planets and demigods are agitated, seeing your great form, many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, bellies, and terrible teeth. O mighty armed one, all planets and demigods are agitated. And Arjuna says, and I am also very fearful. O all pervading, I am fearful and unable to maintain my steadiness and mental equilibrium, seeing you touching the sky with many radiant colors, gaping mouths, and glowing eyes. So, in verse number 24, Arjun also accept that, my dear Lord, I am very, very fearful seeing your Virat Roop. So, here, uh, many times, we cite this that the two arm forms. Now, if you compare which form is more mysterious, two arm form or one arm form? Sorry, two arm form or Vishwarupa or form that has multiple arms. Arjuna can understand this form by looking at how opulent and how divine it is and how everything is in this Virat Rupa. But when same person is seeing Krishna in two arm form, the same understanding would not come. One would not see the same opulence when Krishna is present in two arm form. So if you really try to compare which form is more mysterious for one to understand, the two arm form. Because in two arm form, Krishna is appealing more as an ordinary person, more as a normal person. But the same form has all of these opulences. So a man who have not very advanced spiritual intelligence, they can very easily understand, oh, so now I understand this person is Krishna. Oh, he has all of these, divine quality. Now it makes sense to accept this person as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But looking at the two arm form, one may get confused and feel like that I'm not sure if this person is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's one of the reason, and we'll see that. That's one of the reason to teach the ordinary people who cannot understand the opulence of the Supreme Lord, who cannot understand, perceive the vibhuti of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by looking at him in his two-arm form. Krishna is showing his Virat Rupa. Because we, the people of the material world, we have our intelligence tuned in a way that we always see things in a very comparative perspective. We live in a material world where everything has a dual aspect. So the night has importance or not importance only when day has importance and not importance for us. Hunger and satisfaction goes together. So unless and until we do not see something in the comparative way, our intelligence that we have doesn't capture it. We have to have things in a very relative manner presented to us to understand the subject. But but a person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness can perceive Krishna even if he is in two arm forms or even if he is in four arm forms, even if he is cowherd boy. Okay, so when we also say, so one level of understanding of Divya Chakchu, I'm a little bit trying to give you some deeper essence. So one understanding of Divya Chakchu is that in a very physical way, you can understand that just giving some sort of eye that is empowered so that we can understand this divine form. But another meaning of Diva Chakshu is also advancing in the process of bhakti. Once we are advanced in the process of bhakti, then we can understand when Krishna is saying that I am this, I am that, I am that, I am that, I am that. All of that can be grasped. All of that can be well understood if one is spiritually advanced. If one has basically, gone through the process of sadhana bhakti, and through the realized knowledge has come to the stage where his understanding has broadened, means his chakshu has broadened. Premanjana chakshu, chori bilochana, by the eyes which is tinged with the love, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can see the opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can see here that Arjuna, when he is seeing this form, person like Arjun is now saying that it's very fearful. Seeing all of that, and that's the reason I said whatever I said. This is not the form that you and I can digest, or you and I can, really make sense out of it. Because in verse number 24, looking at that form, Arjun is saying, I'm very fearful. This is very, very fearful, form. And not only me, other personality, all these demigods and all of them who are looking at you, they are astonished. They are surprised. They are not, they are bewildered. They are perturbed. All the word that we are seeing, all of the disturbance that everybody has in their consciousness by seeing their Virat group. So which form holds more mystery? Two forms hold more, because all of that is in a very simple two-arm form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that two-arm form is more mysterious than, than Vishwarupa. And later section of this chapter, Arjuna will request, my dear Lord, now I saw your Vishwarupa, but kindly come back to your original form. I want to see you as I have been seeing you. So, continuing, verse number 25, please be merciful to me. Now, see the word Devesha, Deva Isha. Isha. Deva means Lord, and Isha means Lord of the Lord. Deva Isha, Devesha, Devesha. O Lord of Lords, refuse of the words, I cannot keep my balance, seeing your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. I cannot recognize the directions. So, uh, 26 to 30 verse, uh, Krishna is basically depicting that all the warriors who are in this is all happening in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Right. So next segment of the verse is going to describe how Arjuna is now seeing everyone who are present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Verse number 26 to 29. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, their allied king, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and also our chief warriors are rushing into your fearful blazing mouth, just like, and this could be one of the questions in the exam, how Arjuna perceives the warriors of the Kurukshetra being annihilated by Arjuna, how he's seeing as rivers enter the ocean, as rivers are going and merging into the ocean, as moth enters the fire to meet their destruction. Moth happily jump into the fire to meet their destruction. Some of them are being trapped with heads smashed between your teeth. So here, before the war begin, before the the fight of Kurukshetra will begin. Before that, even before that, Arjuna saw who is going to be victorious. he saw that all of them, Dhritarashtra and Dhritarashtra's sons and all the kings who are present there, Bhishma, Drona, all of them are basically being distracted as moths are jumping into the fire to meet their destructions. So before the fight began, Arjuna knew that who will be the winner. At least from this verse, we can understand that. So 30a, there are two basically type of information. So I just kind of thought better to break it down. I see you devouring all these people from all sides with your flaming mouth. Your effulgence is spread all over the universe by your terrible scorching rays, burning it up, O Vishnu. O Vishnu, your effulgence is spread all over the universe by your terrible scorching rays, is burning it up. So, so that's how Krishna is spread. As we can see that from sky, from planets, all the space, there was everywhere this Virat Rupa is. There is no place which is, remaining. So you are spread throughout the universal. It is impossible to flee from you. So somebody may choose the path of atheism. Somebody may choose so many paths that they want to choose. But Arjuna, here says, you are spread throughout the universe. And it is impossible for one to flee from you. So this type of a statement is not for devotee, not for pure devotee. Pure devotee accept it. Okay, but this universal form is for those people who wants to see Krishna in terms of relativity. How big, what is the infinite, definition of the infinite? Larger than however large. That's the mathematical definition of the infinity. Anything larger that you imagine, it's larger than that. Larger than however large. So Krishna is that infinity, is larger than whatever large we can perceive. Whatever we can come up with, he is bigger than that. Mahato Mahiyan, he is basically greater than the greatest. And then also come Anyaman. He is smaller than the smallest. So anything that we see which are very small form, Krishna is smaller than that. And anything big we see, Krishna is bigger than that. So this Virat Roop is basically, that's how we'll summarize today. This Virat Roop is for the person who are not advanced in Krishna consciousness, who wants to understand Krishna in terms of his greatness. And if they want to understand Krishna in terms of his greatness, here is the form, Virat Rupa. Look at it, everything at one place at once. So after that, Arjuna raised two questions. After seeing this Virat form of Krishna, Arjuna raised two questions. I offer my respect to you, O Lord of the Lords. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. And then he's asking questions. Who are you in this ferocious form? Ugra Rupa. Ugra Rupa. This word Ugra Rupa, sometimes we use for Lord Narasimhadev when he came out of the pillar, right after coming out of the pillar to protect Prahlad Maharaj, and before he started fighting with Hiranyakashipu, that form is Ugra form. So here, Arjuna is asking, who are you in this ferocious form, Ugra Rupa, and what is your mission? What is your mission? And what is Krishna's mission? Paritanaya sadhunam vinasaya duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami juge juge. Who are you? Krishna will further say in verse number 32, that I am all devouring time. As a time, mritu sarvaharasam aham, as a time I devour I bring death to everybody. So we will do up to 31 today, and then from next session, which is next week, next Saturday, we'll continue from verse number 32 and go to verse number 55. So I just wanted to also kind of, I think most of these points I told already, but I just want to one by one go over and explain the significance of universal form. First, Virat Rupa is an imaginary form and has no permanent existence in the spiritual world like other forms of the Lord, namely Ram, Narsimha, Vaman, and so on. So it's imaginary form. We can talk about it if it's not clear what exactly. One should not think that imaginary form means it's basically material form. None of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is material. His roop, his gun, his lila, everything that is associated to Supreme Lord is eternal. Nothing is material. But this form is imaginary because Krishna is showing this form to convince Arjuna. It was just shown to Krishna. People who are not advanced in their spiritual consciousness cannot accept or put faith in the personal form of the Lord. So that's the point we were trying to make, that the people who are not advanced, if we say Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Sarvakaran Karnam, who Lakshmi Sahasra Sabhram Sevemanam Govindam Adi Pusam Tamaham Bhajami, who is going to, buy all of these, who does not know that who the Krishna is. So people who are not advanced in spiritual consciousness cannot accept or put faith in the simple personal form, Supreme Personality of Godhead, or or also, unless and until one does not advance in the process of bhakti, one cannot basically focus on the personal form, two-armed form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we studied about that in chapter 6, that there are two types of, Dhyan Yogi. The first one is basically one who worship their dharna and dharna asraya. So dharna is basically using our intelligence to fix the mind on the form of the Supreme Lord. So in in Dhyan Yoga process, the yogi who are not very advanced, their dharna asraya is Virat Rup. They basically focus on the Virat Rup, on the on the opulent form of the Supreme Lord. So their object of worship is Virat Rup. But the person, the Dhyan Yogi who is advanced, their dharna asraya is Paramatma, four-armed form of the Vishnu. So you can see the difference. So person who is not advanced in Dhyan Yoga practice, their object of worship is Virat Rup. But once they advance, then they worship, their focus is on Paramatma. And a devotee, Brahmameti, Bhagwaneti, Shabdate. A devotee is, what's the object of worship for devotee, for advanced devotee? Suchitananda Vigraha in his two-armed form, the cowherd boy of Vrindavan, Brajanandan. So that's their object of worship. So you can see the highest most stage of worship is when we worship Krishna in his two-armed form. So it's also a degree of advancement coming to the stage where thinking that this person, this Brajanandan, is basically cause of all the causes. But the Gyani, the word Gyani, see, the man who have, the person who have all the Gyana, who is their object of worship? Something, that has no variety, that has no descriptions. That's what the Brahman is. There is no variety, there is no rasa, it's just bland. This had nothing, no descriptions of it. That's the object of worship for the Jnani. But Dhyani goes little bit up, and if they are in the beginning stage, their object of worship is Virat Rup. If they advance, then they go to Paramatma. And if they supremely advance, then they come to the stage of Bhagwan worship. So that's the point is being made there. I wanted to unfold it. People who are not advanced in spiritual consciousness cannot accept or put the faith in the personal form of the Lord. This is because a spiritual form of the Lord cannot be perceived by gross material senses. So, Virat Rup descriptions are meant to educate such people in the existence of God. Using concepts and experience, they can perceive in the universe. So that's very beautiful. There's a lot of information there. So it says that without mundane material senses, we cannot perceive the Lord's form. So you can keep it in a very simple way also, but there is some deeper meaning also, that unless and until we do not purify our consciousness by engaging into the process of bhakti, challenging position of Krishna is very, very risky. And that's also, you can understand that saying that who this Krishna is, I don't understand who Krishna is and why this, why not that, all of that thing comes and we see as a challenge coming towards us to accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should see that this is some degree of ignorance and some degree of covering that we have, that is creating resistance. So another beautiful line, and highlighted that using concepts and experiences, they can perceive in the universe. That's the that's the that's the intrinsic meaning of Bhakti Bhakti. Bhakti Bhakti, why Bhakti Bhakti is given to us? Because we, or the people, we love rules and regulations and guidance and this and that. So when we have a small kids, in the beginning, when we are trying to send them to school, they you have to wake them up in the morning, help them, give them breakfast, dress up, put their bags and books in their in their bag, and tell them that this is your lunch, you have to, all of that you have to do. And you keep on doing, Monday to Friday, and you do 1 year or 2 year, and then after that you see that boy or girl, that baby started getting up and getting ready and start, mom, my school is getting late, I have to go. Mom, you are delaying, now you will see reverse. Mom, you are not getting things done on the right, my school is starting, my boss is coming, can I go, this and that. So in the beginning, by following some rules and regulations, slowly and slowly, that person has come to that stage where now he's going to school, he is meeting with his friends, he's meeting with his teachers, he has his own circle now, he's liking that, and it becomes spontaneous, it becomes his nature. Now you don't have to tell that you have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock he'll be getting up and getting everything done and ready to go to school. Just an example. So likewise, using the things of the material world that we can experience and perceive to elevate our consciousness to higher stage. That is the essence of Bhakti Bhakti. Bhakti Bhakti, we have to follow some rules and regulations and guidance and protocols to have our consciousness becomes more spontaneous and come to the point where this becomes our nature. By hearing Krishna Katha, by reading chapter 11, knowing the details of the Vishwarupa, our consciousness will elevate, and one will come to that stage where we are ready to take Arjuna's two-armed form as Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this approach gradually elevates their consciousness, and they can eventually begin to appreciate the spiritual form of the Lord. So by seeing this detail, by seeing these extensive descriptions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, these all details, one will be convinced to now come to that stage by elevating their consciousness to accept that Supreme two-armed form, Lord, Hare as the absolute truth. So that's how basically we can take the essence of what we have studied. Tubhyam Divyavastu, Tubhyam Samarpaya. My dear Lord, whatever I have, it has come from you. You are the root cause of it. But an intelligent being uses the same thing. If you are, fallen on the ground, how you stand up? You are walking, you slip down, you fail on the ground. How you stand up? You take the support of the ground to stand up, right? So that's how bhakti. We have to use the things that's given to us, take the help of that thing, and raise your consciousness by tuning day by day with the instructions that given into Shastra. So with that, I would like to conclude here today, and I will resume from next session. Oh, I had some information here about, let me share that also very quickly. So I went and looked at what is this, we had some discussion about Marg Sirsha month, and I'm just, so here is the thing, when I'm sharing something, I have to share which is coming, which is at the level of this course. And also, normally I just try to share whatever I have seen or found in Shastra. If there is some subtle or some deeper meaning of certain subject, if I haven't been exposed to it, or if I don't have some realization on that, personally I do not like sharing, because it just becomes some word. I do not really have deeper understanding what I'm saying. So sometimes, that's my rule of thumb. Most of the time I try to find some references. If Prabhupada said something somewhere, I'll bring that up. So I kind of did some search throughout the Prabhupada's writing, and I found out, and Krishna is also saying in that particular verse, that this Marg Sirsa month is the best of all the month. So, and in the purport Prabhupada is writing that in that month, all the fields, all the crops are harvested, and there is happiness because the grains have come into the house. Also, the moon enters the constellation of Marg Sirsa. Uh, so Marg Sirsa, Mirg Sirsa, which is deer head. So what I'm trying to say is that it's also given in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter number 22, verse number 1, in the purport. Prabhupada is saying that somewhere in the calendar, I do not see, but it's mentioned there that month also begin sometimes, in the Marg Sirsa month. So there are some calendar, and according to that calendar, their year begins in that month. This is normally the ninth month of the 12-month year, and actually it falls between November to December. But another important thing that we have to basically find out from this context is that this is the month which Krishna has also prescribed many times to his follower, that if they worship Krishna in that month, they will be rewarded more spiritual benefit. An example is given that Krishna personally asked the cowherd girls that if they will get up early morning in this month and take bath in Jamuna, then they will receive the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Plus, also according to some Hindu belief, this month is basically also prescribed by Vishnu. Vishnu personally makes a recommendation that if his believer worship him in this month, then they will be awarded higher benefit. So these are some of the evidence that I can find in Prabhupada's writing about Marg Sirsa month. So with that, I would like to conclude here today. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you, Prabhu.
Hari Hari. So just let me know. Everybody has been coming, right? All of you have been coming. I think we have always 14, 15 participants. That's pretty good.
I've only missed one, Prabhu.
Right, right. Yeah, Bhupal Prabhu has some good news. So he is basically not here today, but I see Sri Radhe Mataji, Soumya Mataji, Rami Reddy Prabhu, Manonath Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everybody. Ashok Kumar Prabhu. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we'll chant Vaishnava Pranams and then we'll finish today. Vanchkalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhuvya evasya patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Assemble Bhakti Vrinda ki.
Jai.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So we have only
Hare
1.5
Krishna, Prabhu.
chapter left for the next exam, I believe.
Yep. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat, Haribol. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hari Hari, Hari Hari.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Hari.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare